Hello, this is Henry, and today we're going to demo the 2018 1040 Online CTS tax software. First thing we will do is pull up a tax return. Okay, now that we have the return up, this is a married filing joint return. We're going to switch it to the interview mode so we can demo the interview. Okay, the first thing we would do, we select the filing status, which is married filing jointly. Click next to go to the next screen. Here we will enter the basic information on the client: first name, last name, date of birth, social security number, and their occupation. Then on this line here, there's was EITC previously disallowed? The answer to this question most of the time would be no. It's an easy workflow. When you're in the interview module, all you do is click next to go to the next screen. On this screen, it's asking, was the taxpayer home in the United States for more than half of the tax year 2018? The answer is yes. This screen here, we will enter the address, city, state, and zip code, daytime phone number, and evening phone number. On this screen, it's asking to verify their identity, what type of ID did they use. We put that they presented a Texas driver's license, so we put the driver's license number, the issue date, the expiration date, and the state of issue for both the taxpayer and the spouse. And we selected level 2, that they presented these IDs in person. Now on this screen is asking about special processing, and these are some of the options for the special processing. This client has none of that info, so we selected none, and we will click next. This is some basic screening questions. Here is asking, can the client be claimed as a dependent on someone else's return? Are they blind? Are they permanently disabled? Then it's asking, did they want to purchase Protection Plus, which will reimburse up to $2,500 in $2,500 in interest and penalties due to a legitimate error by the tax preparer or the tax software. And this client chose not to opt in for the Protection Plus, so we selected no. Okay, on this screen here is asking about the dependent information. Are there any dependents? We selected yes. We click next. On this screen, this is where you would enter the dependents. You just click on the word edit, and the screen will pop up where you can enter the information for that dependent, their date of birth, and their social security number, how many months they lived in the household, son, daughter, stepchild, whatever the situation may be. Then you save it and just enter all of the dependents. After you have entered all of the dependents, you click next. Okay, on this screen here is asking about dependent care expenses. If they had daycare expenses, after school care expenses, this is where you would enter that information. You would put the dollar amount here. Then you would go down here, you click on edit, and you would enter the information for the care provider's name, address, social security number or EIN, and the amount that you paid. This is the income screen. The clients have 2 W-2s, 1 W-2 for the husband, 1 for the wife. They got an interest statement, and one of them collected a little Social Security. So we entered that information here. And these are some of the other options for income. You just select what they had and click on add, and then it'll pull that form in. You just enter the information. After you have entered all the information on here, you click next to go to the next screen. This is asking about any assets that they might have, if they sold any stocks, mutual funds, bonds, non-business securities, personal residence, rental property, property related to a business or farm, including land and equipment. If they dispose of any of that, you would click that and it would pull those forms into the tax return. So what we're actually doing is we are doing the interview, but in the background, the interview is generating all of the forms that are associated with the forms we entered in the interview. And once we switch it to the forms mode, all you would have to do is complete the tax return. Now it says about any adjustments to the income. You see all of the adjustments here. If any of this applied to your client, you would just click the box next to it and it would pull those forms into the tax return. Deductions, this is for itemized deductions. The average tax client will not need to itemize deduction anymore, but if they do have itemized deductions, you just click on the box next to what applies to your client, and it will automatically pull that info into the Schedule A. Extra questions. If any of this applies to your client, you just click the box next to the appropriate answer here, and it will pull the appropriate form into the tax return once you switch to the forms mode. On this screen is asking, do you need to prepare a state return? This is a return that's in the state of Texas. We don't have a state filing requirement, so I answered no. If you did need to prepare any state returns, you would just click yes and enter the information for the state or states that you need to prepare. This is the consent to use the information for a bank product. You would just enter the taxpayer PIN. We always use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for every client and enter the date that you're preparing the return. Granting consent, that's the only way the client could file a bank product or apply for a bank product is they have to grant consent. If they do not consent, they cannot get a bank product. This is the bank disclosure form, and on this form, the client has to consent to the disclosure also. So you just enter the PIN number for the client and the date. Okay, this is a rough estimate of the tax refund, and it shows 3 options. It shows the RT if they want to apply for a refund transfer. This is the amount of the refund after fees. If they want to do an e-file only, you would select that radio box, and then it shows the gross amount of the refund, and you would have to collect your fees directly from the client. If you were doing a paper return for the client, this is the amount of their refund, and you would need to collect your money direct for the client. The RT is the only option that will capture your fees and deposit your fees into your business checking account. So it is the recommended method for doing tax returns is to include a bank product on every tax return. Okay, now we're going to check the interview. We don't have any errors, so we will click next. Okay, on this page, you could print the signature pages, but we're going to actually go into the forms mode before we print the signature pages. So we will click next. And we click finish. Once we finish the interview, it will automatically take us into the forms mode of the tax software. So this is the forms mode of the tax software. It shows all of the forms that are included with this tax return, and everything is green. If there's anything that needs to be completed, it would be red over in the forms tree, and all you would have to do is click on that form. It'll take you to the form, and then you complete that form, and it would turn green. After you get all green, then it's ready to file. So we call this getting the red out. We're going to take a look at the Santa Barbara Bank application. And on the Santa Barbara Bank application, we have selected the refund transfer, which will capture the fees. And when the refund come back, you'll print a check for the client, call the client, tell them to come get their check. If you do a RTDD, that's a direct deposit. That's where you would drop the refund directly to your client's checking account. You can also do a debit card, which is a Walmart money card, where at the time of tax prep, you would get a client the card, and when the refund loads to the card, they would receive a text message. You could send the money to Walmart, direct cash, where you would give them a code. They go to Walmart and show their ID, and they can collect their refund at Walmart. During the early part of tax season, you could apply for a fast cash advance for your client, where they can get up to $6,000 within 24 hours or less. After the IRS accepts the return, it's too late in the year for that, but in the early season, you could apply for a fast cash advance for your client. So this is the section of the form for the fast cash advance. You would just complete this info here, and they could apply for the fast cash advance with their bank product. Okay, after you have reviewed the return with your client, told them how much they're getting back, how much the fees are, what's the net amount of the refund, then you would print the return. So you just go up to the top here on the ribbon, and you would print the return. Just click OK on this message, and it's going to generate a PDF where you could print the return. If the client was not at your office, at this stage, you could click on e-signature and send a copy of the return to your client to electronically sign. So we're waiting on the PDF. There we go, there go the PDF. So you can print the PDF, you can save it to the vault that's built into the software. You can send to the client portal, or you can open the PDF, and to print, you would just open the PDF. So we're gonna act like we opened and printed it, and then we're gonna close. If the client wasn't in the office, you click on this ribbon here, just to send it over to your client for e-signature where they can sign it electronically. Then you would run diagnostics on the return. Diagnostics, it's not giving you any warnings or any errors. So I mean, this return is ready to file. You come here on this toolbar here, and you just click on create e-file, and that will generate the e-file for your client. After you generate the e-file for your client, click on save and close. Then you go to the e-filing tab, click on submit e-files. Your return will be showing here. You just click the box next to the return, click on continue, and on the next screen, you could send your tax return to the IRS so they can start processing it. That's just how easy this software is to use. It's very simple. If you hire new employees, you can normally train them within a day or two to do a tax return just by ensuring that they start all of their tax returns in the interview module. This concludes today's training. Thank you for attending.